Hello and welcome. So as you can see, I redesigned my level. I have new assets. You should already have these assets, but I previously used placeholder assets because I like to, while I wait for assets, use some placeholder assets that will give me an idea of how my game is and how it feels. So right now I'm on my first scene, and I've already gone ahead and made a new level. So you guys should create levels for your game as many as you want and however you want. I just made a really quick and simple one, and it's called scene right. So in here, just save changes to this scene. We just have these two dragon guys and this potion. Notice that in here I don't have a player and a canvas, and I'm going to actually delete this main camera. So now we can't see anything in the game view because nothing is rendering this, and save this scene now. Why did I do this? Well, now if I open up my main scene, I can click this drop down here, and I can drag and drop the scene right into my hierarchy, and now we have it here. It's on the same position as our first scene, but don't worry, since I parented my environment, and you should as well, I can just move it to the right. Okay, like that. And also I will move these two blue dragons, which are the guardians of the potion, and move the potion as well. Okay. And another thing to do is let's grab our scene down. And you can see in this scene I do actually have a main camera, so I will delete it. I also have a player and a canvas, so we only need one canvas, so I will delete those. And I'm just going to select all of these, all the actors from this scene, and drag them down. Try to kind of like combine it like this. Okay, that looks nice. Also, I will now delete these boundaries because I won't be using them. I'm going to show you another way of how we can handle those. So let me find the boundaries in this level. So you won't really be handling... Well, now the enemies can enter the other areas, which I think isn't too big of a deal. But if you still want them to collide, you can just change the checking of collisions to be to a on trigger instead of on collider. So now what I'm going to do is we can make the camera follow the player so he can enter these areas seamlessly. That is really simple to do. We just take the main camera and drag and drop it onto the player. Now if I go to the game view and run the game, see the camera follows the player, and I can explore these other levels. I'll try not to get killed here. Oops, well, I got killed, but I didn't because we have no logic for dying. I can take this potion and then I can run back. We can see that the camera isn't really centered properly. It is centered, but the player is always kind of to the left. Well, we can fix that with no problems. So let's go ahead and do that. I will open up the player script. Reload these things. Open up the player script and get a reference. Let's say public camera cam, and when in my update method I will say cam.transform.position to be equal to this.transform.position. Now we can't do this because the camera, we wouldn't see the player because the camera's Z would be the same as his. So we're going to say cam.transform.position.z. We can say new vector 3 0 transform.position.x, transform.position.y, transform.position. Actually, a better way to do this is delete this line. So we're setting the transform position of the camera to the player's transform position, and on the Z I'm just going to say +10. Actually, let me see if the camera is on that. So it's -5 on the Z. So let's go ahead and do just that. It's -5. And this way it doesn't need to be a child of the player. Let me grab it out, get the player, and plug in our camera. So now if I run the game, the player is now centered, which we want. Now we can explore the areas to go to the second level. Oops, I died there, but I didn't because no def logic yet, which is great for us. And I can go, whoop, I took damage. I can go down, grab another potion, and now my maximum health is 4. Another thing to note with how this is set up is we can't build our game because currently this is used for multi-scene editing, so to edit more scenes at the same time to make it easier. But currently this is regarded as the active scene, and I can change that. So we can't actually build the game and have those 3 scenes in here at the same time. But what we can do really easy is, let me just delete the script here. I was testing something. Is create a new scene, which I'm going to do in here. Actually, we don't need to. I will put everything in the main. So basically, I'm going to select the scene assets from. Whoops. Just select all the assets from this scene and copy them into the assets of this scene. Okay. So now, even if I get my scene down and remove it from this scene, if I remove the scene, we still have these assets from that scene. And I'm going to do the same thing for scene right. Select all of this, copy it, and paste it in this. So now everything is in my main scene. So my game basically has 1 level, but was really easy for us to make. And I can delete even scene down and scene right if I want to. But I'm going to save this level for now. Okay. And now if I run, the game still works the same. Our camera follows, we can go down, we can go right, we can shoot our sword, we can get the potion for a health pickup. Okay, so that's all for this lecture, and next time we will be creating the boss fight, so stay tuned for that, and thank you for watching. Hello and welcome. So I created this level in which I want my boss fight to be. As you can see, it only has a main camera and these environment assets. Also called it boss level, and I deleted those previous levels we had since they are all now in the main level. And now I want to create our boss. So let me navigate to our sprites folder, and let's find our boss. Oops, no, this is the yeah, I'm going to give you this dungeon tile set so you can create your own dungeons and boss fights. I just made this one to be simple to demonstrate you the boss fight. Let me just find, here it is. Here's our wizard guy. Let me just edit his collision in our sprite editor, because I noticed it wasn't perfect. Okay. Great, now apply this. And let's get one of our boss sprites. This one, for example. Drag him up. I'm going to increase him. I'll call this guy boss. And let's create some animations for him. So click on window and open up the animation window. Drag it down. Let's create an animation clip. I'll place this into assets, enemy animations, and I'll create a new folder called boss. And in here, let's open that up and call this walking up. And let's find the walking up sprites. So here we have 1, 2. So let's drag this sprite in here, and then this one, and again this one. We have that nice walking up animation. So let's add a new clip. Let's call it walking down. Here we have two sprites for walking down. Okay, looks great. And add a new clip. Let's call this one walking right. Here we have 2 strides for walking right. One. And the second one. Oh. Okay. Looks good. And finally, walking left. Walking left. Here we have 2 strides for walking left. Let's just drop them in. Oops, this is the wrong stride. There it is. Okay. Save that, and let's open up his animator. This is the animator of the player, but we actually want to go into enemies, enemy animator, boss, and open up his animator. Here it is. And we're going to set it up just like we did for the player and the dragon. So these animations should be at a logical position. So let's also create the same thing, a integer for direction, which will determine which animation we play. And let's make the transitions from walking up to walking down, from walking down to, let's first do it for transition to walking up. Okay. And make sure that all of these transitions has disabled exit time, and that the condition for this transition is going to be direction equals 0. Do the same thing for walking left. Disable exit times, and set the direction to be equal to 0. And from walking down, disable exit times. The condition is, my mouse disappeared, direction equals 0. Okay, so let's now transition to walking left. So from walking up, walking right, and walking down. Let me just move this here. So walking left was 1, I believe. So let's set the exit times to be 0, and the condition direction equals 1. Now from walking down, also disable exit times, transition 0, direction equals 1. And from walking right, disable the exit times and set the condition to be direction equals 1. Okay, so it's now transition to walking down. So from walking up, walking down is 2. The condition is going to be direction equals 2. From walking left, it's going to be the same. Just disable the exit times. Direction equals to 2. And from walking right, we disable the exit times and we set the direction to be equal to 2. Now let's make transitions for walking right. From walking up to walking right, walking left to walking right. Okay, let me just move this, that. So from walking up to walking right, let's disable the exit times. And we of course set the direction to be equal to 3 in this case. Walking left, also disable the exit times. Set the direction to be equal to 3. And from walking down, disable the exit times, and the condition is direction equals to 3. Okay, so that's basically done. We can close this tab now. So now if we would play our game, our guy would animate walking up because the direction is 0. So let's close the animation tab as well. And we want to create a script for this guy. So let's open up our scripts folder and create a new C# script and call it, let's call it the wizard, since he is a wizard. And open it up, reload all of these. And since he's really similar to a dragon, we can reuse a lot of these things from here. So let's go ahead and Let me see what we want here. We can actually get this whole script, copy it, and paste it in here. Just be sure to change the class name from dragon to wizard. Okay. And now the dragon changes direction each 0.7 seconds, and he walks pretty fast. So I don't want that. I'm going to my guy, this wizard, let me just save this and reload the script. So if I drop this script on the wizard, I'm going to give him a small speed, maybe 2, and maybe 5 health. And now the projectile, we can just go ahead and use our bullet that we use for the dragon. If I can find it. Enemy projectile, here it is. And let's set the thrust power to be 350. And let's go back to our wizard script. So yeah, this is set up properly when he attacks. And here we have when we collide with the sword. Okay. So this lecture is getting pretty long. I will continue this in the next one, where we will change the walking logic, since now our dragon walks around randomly, and when he hits a wall he changes direction. I don't want that. I want this boss to walk in a pattern, since you know in games all bosses kind of follow some kind of pattern. So we'll do that, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next lecture. Hello and welcome. So we're back in our wizard script, and since this script is pretty similar, well, it's basically the same as our dragon script, I want to change a few things here. I don't want the direction to be random when the game starts. Instead, I will say in which direction I want him to go. And here we have our direction timer, which is used to change directions. So in here, when direction timer is less than or equal to 0, we randomized a new direction. Basically, what I'm going to do is make the direction a public integer. And I'm going to go to my dragon and wait for direction to appear. Okay. And now let's say I want him to go right, left, up, right, down, left. Kind of repeat that pattern. I want him to go in a circle. So left is 1. So let's say he starts with direction which is equal to 1. He's gonna go left. And then let's go ahead and say, so when direction timer is less than or equal to 0, we want to set a new direction. And we can do a switch statement, which goes switch direction case 1. Actually, switch direction case 1. Direction is going to be equal to 0. Break. So this is a switch statement. Basically, it's similar to using if else and else if, but basically we switch on direction and we have cases. So case when direction is equal to 1, what happens? So when direction is equal to 1, we will set direction to be equal to 0. So basically the boss will be walking left, and then he will be walking up. Now let's do another case for 2. So 2 is down, and when he's going down, I want him to start going left and also break. We need to state break when the case is finished. Say case 3 now. So 3 is right. When he is going right, I want him to go down, which is 2. And of course break. And we need case 0. So when he's going up, I want him to be going right. Break. And we also need a default case, so we just say default. Let's say direction equals to 1. And also break this, of course. Okay, so now if we save this, I should be able to go back to my scene and run this game and see how my wizard behaves. Oh yeah, I disabled the camera for some reason. Let's start this. You can see he's walking left, up, and you can see he's walking in the pattern that we want him to walk. But currently, it changes the direction too fast. That is because our direction timer is set to 0.7f, sorry. Let's set it to 1 second, and be sure to reset it here to 1. Actually, let's say 1.2 seconds. So let's go ahead and go back to our script. Start this again. Okay, now he's walking longer. And that looks much better. So now I also want him kind of to do a special attack where he will create, let's say, a few projectiles and then just randomly shoot them out. So let's go back to our script, and I will create a new method for that. Let me just drop all of these down. I'll call this void special attack. And basically what I'm going to do in here is instantiate these projectiles. And we just need to figure out the position and rotation of these projectiles. So there's a few ways we can do that. But probably the easiest thing we can do is just have them all spawn at the same place, but just shoot them out into different directions. So let's do that. Transform.position and transform.rotation. And I'm going to say let's do kind of we need to create a new game object here. So it's game object. So we want to add force to this new projectile. It's equal to this created one. And now in the new projectile, we want to add get component, the rigid body 2D component, and we want to add some force to this. Let's say vector2. Actually, what we can do is we can create a new integer here, call it maybe random direction, and say that it's a random range between 0, and 3. And now when we generate this number, and we can do a switch again for random direction. And I'm going to say, in case this is 0, I want the following code to happen. So if not random direction is 0, I want to shoot a new projectile and add vector2 dot right times thrust power to it. Then we break this. In case it is 1, I want to get a new projectile, get component, rigid body 2D, add force, and let's say we want this one to go up times thrust power, and of course break. In case this is 2, let's just copy this code here for shooting right, and I want this to be minus trust power, and let's break this. And case it is 3, I'm going to copy the case 1 code, we'll just add a minus the trust power. Let's go ahead and break this. And I'm going to call this special attack every few seconds. So let's say in here I'll have a float special timer, and it will be 0.5 seconds. And in our update method, I'm going to say a special timer minus equal time the delta time. This way we get a precise countdown. So, and if special timer is less than or equal to 0, I'm actually going to call the special attack function twice, and then let's just set special timer to be equal to, again, 1, I believe if it was. No, it was 0.5. Let's set 0.5 here. So now if I save this and go back into Unity, our boss should now be shooting these bullets randomly. Oh yeah, wait a second. For some reason he isn't shooting them. Special attack. Did I forget something? Oh, we put this code inside of the direction timer code. Oops, sorry about that. Let's just cut it and put it right under the update here. So now if we save, go back and play, we should see that now he's shooting much more bullets and he's a much more challenging boss, which looks great. Okay. So that will be it for the shooting code of the boss and his pattern. In the next lecture we will be transitioning to this level from the previous levels, and we will also be saving and loading data. So thank you for watching and stay tuned. Hello and welcome back. So last time we made our boss logic and attacking pattern and movement pattern, and now he moves around and shoots a lot of these bullets, and he's a pretty challenging boss, which I myself do enjoy. So now let's save this scene, and let's go back to our main scene, and now we want to create a transition for when we are walking up, and when we go up I'm just going to load this new level. So let's go ahead and we want to create kind of like previously we had these boundaries that wouldn't let us walk into that level, but now since we've combined them we don't need those boundaries anymore. But I'm actually going to create a trigger here. When the player enters it, we load the next level. So I already have a prefab, I believe, of the boundary top. I'm just going to drop it into the scene and move it here. I'm just going to rename it level loader, and let's make sure to set isTrigger to be true here because we're going to be triggering when we collide with it. And let's add a component level loader. So let's make this new script, and you can also reuse the script if your game has more levels than it should have. Let's open it up, and since we're going to be transitioning between scenes, we need to import a new library which is going to be using Unity engine dot Unity engine dot scene management. Okay. And now we can say public scene and get call it scene to load. Let me just reload the script quickly. I think Unity is confused because the script is in a different folder, so let's delete it for now from here and create it in our scripts folder. Let's create C# script level loader. Let's open it up. Reload all. Let's close this previous one. So, and now let's say we don't need the update and start method. We just need a void on trigger enter 2D collider 2D collider. Something is wrong here. Visual Studio isn't recommending me lines. I'm not sure why that is. I think Unity is confused a bit. Oh, we can't call our script level loader because... Oh, well, sorry about that. I will call it level to load, maybe. Can I use that? Let's say using Unity engine.scene management. Okay, now it's working properly. We don't need the update and the start method. So let's say get a public scene, call it scene to load. Just as we're getting game objects, we're going to get a scene like this. And if you notice how these scripts just have their names here, and this one has the path as well, that means we'll have to reload the script later. It happens a lot that you think there's something wrong with your script, but basically it just needs to be reloaded. So keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and say void on trigger enter 2D collision 2D collision, I believe. Let me just do that. And if collision game object tag is equal to the player, I want to say scene management, please, scene manager dot load scene, and the scene to load is scene to load. Excuse me. Let's just load scene. Oh, this takes the scene build index. Doesn't matter. Let's just set this to 1 then, and delete this. Yeah, actually, we can just say public int scene index and get this scene index in here. Now, if we save this and reload the script, yes. Let's clear these warnings and let's reopen that. Dude, I know. Please, Unity. Let's just delete level loader. It's making us a lot of trouble. And we have this game object level loader. Let's remove the previous script and add our new level to load. And yeah, and I'll again, yes, I again mixed up the on trigger enter code. It's really similar to the on collider enter. Okay, and now you can see here, here's our script, and when we collide, it's going to load the scene which index is 0. Well, how can we know what the index of our scene is? Well, basically, if we now go to File and Build Settings, we can see that we have our scenes here, and you should, in your case, this should be empty, like it is with me, and I can add this open scene. So I add our main scene, and you can see when the game loads, it will go load levels from top to bottom. So it will first open the game with the main scene, and its index is 0. And also I'm going to drop the boss scene in here, and you can see now our index is 1 for the boss scene. Let's close this. So now I can set level to load index to be 1, and if I walk up, it's going to load the boss scene. Let's test that out. Try not to die here, and it loads the boss scene. But you can see, where's our player in this level? It's just the boss running around. Well, that's because that's how our scene is set up. If I save this and go into our boss scene, can see that there's no player here, there's just the boss and he's running around and shooting. So we need to drop our player here. Let's go to our prefabs. And let's also get a, whoops. Let's also get this, create a prefab from this boss here. Maybe you want to reuse him in your game, why not? Let's see, where's our, here it is, player. Let's drop him up, drop him in. Just move him down, so he starts from here. And he's going to be battling this boss. But the player cannot be alone. We need a canvas. So I can quickly copy the canvas from the previous level if I just drop it in here. And I just get the canvas and paste it to this level. And now I can remove this level from this one. This is a really great way to edit levels quickly. And let's click on our player here, and he has the hearts array. Reset it to 0. Drop down our canvas. Lock the player inspector. Now we want to select all our hearts and drop them inside the array. There we go. And also, if we were now to play this, the camera would follow the player, because, let me just put the camera in here, because we set up the camera code in the player. And you see, I don't want this. I want the whole camera to be focused on the boss fight. So let's change that. So in our player script, I'm going to, let's find player, okay. And I'm going to just, here where I transform the camera position, I'm just going to delete this line of code. And yeah, delete that line of code and delete the camera reference and save that. Now if I go back into Unity, I save this, save scene, and I go back to my main scene. Now the camera wouldn't follow the player. So let's quickly create a script for the camera. I'm going to call it camera cam follow. Okay. Reload all. So when the game starts, I want to get a reference to the player. So let's say transform player equals game object, find game object with tag, and we're finding the tag player. I want to get component, I want to get its transform and plug it inside of this player variable. And now each frame I want to say transform.position, which is equal to, which refers to this object. So I'm going to put the script on the camera, and transform.position is going to refer to the camera's transform. And we can say new vector 3 and say player dot position dot x, player dot position dot y, and player dot position dot z minus 5. So now if I save this, go back to Unity, I can grab my camera and add this camera follow script to it, and it should, if we reload it, yes, it should now follow the player. Okay, it is, and we don't get any errors. If I save this scene, and now in my boss scene, I can run the game, and the camera doesn't need to be attached to the player, and you can see the whole focus is on the boss fight, which is really awesome, kind of exactly like in the Zelda games. So this lecture is getting pretty long. We will be wrapping up and finishing this game in the next lectures, so thank you for watching and stay tuned. Hello and welcome. First off, I wanted to congratulate you for coming this far. I know game development can be really hard, but never give up. Many people talk about how they love to make games and how they want to make games, but only a few really do see games through to the end. It's always good practice to, whenever you start something, try to finish it. So now that that's out of the way, I want to show you a few things. So we made our level transitioning, but now if I have 1 health and load the next level, I somehow am healed up, and I can't damage the boss. We'll fix that, don't worry. If you figured out why we get healed up if we go back to the boss, good job. But if you didn't, well, I'm going to show you right now. So if I open up the boss level and go to our player, we can see that his max health is 2. So basically, when we load this level, we reset. So if I open his script, when we load this level, we load this script again, and we just reset all of his stats. We never actually save the game. So we're going to add saving and loading now. So basically, we could make a saving. Let me go back to this. We can save the game whenever he picks up. Well, we can save information actually. We want to save the information about his current health, because that's the only variable currently in our game, your health. And we could do it whenever you pick up this item, that it saves your health. But I think a far better way to handle saving is when you're about to load the game. So now, in our player script, we need 2 new methods for saving and loading the game. So down here, I'm going to say a public void save game. I made this public because we want to call the save game method from the level to load. So when we enter the trigger and we want to load the level, we want to save the game. And saving the game is really simple. We just say player prefs, as in player prefabs, here we can say set int. We set the integer, and we want to set max health. We can call it that, and then we set a value of this integer, of this prefab. So let's call it, the value that we want to set is the current max health of the player, and we also want to set player prefs, set int the current health, because maybe current health is less than or equal to max health. And we need a new method for load game. Let's say load game. And loading the game is also really simple. We just have to say the following. We get the variable, so let's say max health equals player prefs dot get int, and we just specify the string, so from which string we're getting the value, and the string is going to be max health. And the same is applied for current health equals player prefs get int current health. Okay, save that. And now up in our start method, well, first I'll show you. If I go back to level to load, and here when we collide with the player, before we load the scene, we actually want to say a game object, find game object with tag. We want to find the player. We want to grab the component which is called the player script, and we want to call the save game method. So now this saves the game, but we never really load the game. Well, we should do the loading in the player start method. So let's say we need to check first if these values have anything in them, if these player prefs have anything in them. If they're empty, we don't want to load anything from them. So let's say if player prefs dot has key, this is used to check if a string has anything in it. So let's check the preferences for the max health, and if it does have, we're going to say load game. There's still something wrong, but I first demonstrate saving and loading. So now if I save and go back into Unity, if I play, let me just take damage. Now again. Oops, and now if I go up, you can see I'm healed back up. Now you might be thinking that our saving and loading doesn't work. Well, no, actually we heal the player. When the game starts, we set his current health to max health, so even if we took more potions, increased our maximum health, this would heal him. So what I'm going to do is just say else here. So if there is nothing in these player preferences, I'm going to set current health to be equal to maximum health. So basically this only happens at the start of the game. So now if I save this and I go back into Unity and I run my game, you can see now my guy, his health is saved and I started with 1 health. But let's say, let me just grab this potion. Now I have 4 health. And if I go to the wizard successfully, just avoid these dragons, I do have 4 health. So there we go. Thank you for watching. And in the next lecture we'll be fixing the sword collision with the wizard. I'll see you then. Bye. Hello and welcome back. So today we will be fixing up our boss. I'm now in my boss fight room, and if you see, we can't actually shoot him. The sword just flies through him. Well, that's because he doesn't have a collider. I forgot to add that. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and add a box collider to you. Let me just open my scene view. Yeah, that's a really good box collider. And also, he's requiring a depth particle. I'll just take one of these. Let me just lock the inspector here so I can click on other objects and his inspector is still shown here. Let's just take, I'll just make a new particle. Why not? See, let's take the blue dragon particle. And let's just make it purple. Let's get the color, and I want the color of his. Cool, that's a cool particle. Wizard particle, call it that, and I will just drop it down into my scene, into my asset browser. And now I will drop it on to my, let me delete it from the hierarchy, and drop it onto my wizard. And just apply the wizard game object because we made a prefab out of him. So now and the prefab is changed as well. So now we can shoot him. There we go. And we can kill him. And you can see that I started my game with 4 health. That's because I have saved the game previously. Saving and loading works even inside of Unity Engine. And there we go, we killed him. But I want some kind of reward when we kill him. I want a potion to appear here. Kind of like in Legend of Zelda, when you defeat the boss, a potion will appear. So let's create a new empty game object. I will call it reward position. And let's make sure that's centered. And here in my boss, let me open up my boss script, wizard. I'm going to say public transform, transform reward position. Actually, we don't need this, but let's do it like this. Sure, no problem. And public game object potion. So now if we go back into Unity, we have these two. Let's read. Yeah, we have a reward position and a potion. So now I can plug in my reward position in here, and it gets the transform of the reward position, which is currently 0, 0, 0. So you could have written that in the code, but if you want to change the position, I did like this. So if you want to change the position, it updates automatically. And now we need to plug in the potion. So let's plug in the potion from our prefab folder. And back in our script, I want to say when the sword hits us, when we take off health, and when our health is less than or equal to 0, when we instantiate the death particle. I also want to instantiate potion at reward position dot position, and let's just create it at potion dot transform dot rotation with the rotation of the potion. Save that. Now if I defeat the boss, he should drop us some loot, the potion. Try not to get hit. And there we go, a potion appears and we get healed up. And we save the princess. So there we go. This game is finished. Congratulations on getting this far. So now you probably want to, let's just save the scene. You probably want to build this game and send it to your friends, upload it to Steam, to itch.io, whatever. We go to File, Build Settings, and here we have our 2 scenes. Currently my game only has 2 scenes, but yours probably should have more levels. And here we have a ton of options for which platform we want to build this to. Currently this was developed only with PC in mind, but you can build this to Facebook Game Room, WebGL, iOS, whatever. I'm just going to click build on this one, and I'm just going to build the exe on the desktop. Do that, and now this will take a few moments. Wait for that to build, and let's just run it. We get kind of like this Unity window that asks us for the resolution and graphics settings. We can also run this in windowed mode. I will do that so it doesn't mess with my recording. Now if I play, we get this Made with Unity logo, and you can see that I start with 2 health, which is exactly how it should be, because this game is built and I don't have any player preferences on my computer. I just realized that we're missing a player dying logic, so let's go ahead and do just that in this lecture as well. Sorry, I forgot about that, guys. Let's go to our player script, and let's see where we take damage. So on these trigger events, I'm going to check here if our current health is less than or equal to 0. I don't want to check for this each frame. We basically only take away health when something enters us. If current health is less than or equal to 0, I want to do a few things. So mainly, I'm just going to load the start of the game. So just let's say, let's import the library for scene management, Unity engine.scene management. So if our health is less than or equal to 0, I want to say scene manager.load scene. The index is 0, the start of the game. So when we die, we'll just reload the game. Save that. Go back into Unity, run the game. Well, I'm on the boss level, but it doesn't matter. Should restart the game wherever I die. Try to get killed. I seriously didn't get killed. Come on, man. That's because how our game is set up. We also damage enemies when we hit with them, which I think is good, but we should probably disable that for the boss. If you're full health, you can just walk into the boss. And here we go. The level is loaded. The game was loaded. Okay. Yeah, let's fix the boss so we don't do damage to him when we hit him. Let's see. I think that's on the wizard. Is it? I think it is. Yeah, here it is. If we collide with the player, we take off health, but we don't want that. So save this. And there we go. Whoops. There we go. Our game is basically finished. So thank you for watching. You can, let me also show you the build settings. You can build the game again. And also there are these player settings where you should, well, if you're publishing a game, here put in the company name, or if you're in the indie studio, just the name of your studio, the name of the game, the icon. And here we have some settings for PC, Linux, and Android and other. I want to show you here splash image. You can add your own splash images. For now, it's currently only just Unity, this Made with Unity, but you can add your own logos and change the settings so you can have Unity dark on light. You can have it to be static. You can even have custom animations with custom timers. Also, since we're using the free version of Unity, we must show the Unity logo, but if you have a pro version of Unity, you can remove the Unity logo entirely, which if you want, you should definitely look into Unity is, I think, $15 each month, which is really a little considering how good the Unity engine really is. So that's been everything, guys. Thank you for watching, and again, great job on making it this far. You now know how to make a top-down RPG, and be sure to send us your games when you finish them. We can't wait to see what you guys come up with. And you can also publish them on Steam, itch.io, whatever you want. Feel free to use our assets. We made them for you guys. So thank you again for watching, and we'll see you some other time.